how do you get through that step from knowing someone to at a first meeting to then being that person who knows how you work, you know how they work, and actually bridge that gap? Because I agree with you. I think it's really important, and there's people I work with who know how I work best, and vice versa. And actually, that's how we kind of get the best out of each other.
Yeah.
But you saying that made me think, oh, how did we start out, and how did we get from that point to where we are now?
I don't, I don't, I just time. I mean, you normally, I'm sure you're the same, that within the first 15 minutes of working with somebody brand new, you know
Yeah,
if it's going to work or not because they just get get
on your
it, and
nerves.
you know, or they don't get it, which is one of those. This is going to be a very long 4-day shoot.
Yeah,
Um, and so you know quite quickly. But then there is that's I think that's the reason why we don't possibly expand our vision a bit more than we should do is because within 5 seconds of somebody turning up on set and all the kits coming out of vans and
yeah,
being screwed together and there's assistants running all over the place rumming up lights and stuff like that, you do your 15-minute catch up with your DOP over a cup of coffee, and if you're lucky, a bacon salmi, or similar, um, or a Bircher muesli yogurt,
yeah,
obviously. So I think within the first 10 or 15 minutes. Do you know what I
yeah,
mean? Of working with somebody new, if it's going to work out, and generally it always does. You don't. I think what you don't get is you don't get quite that magic. I think if you work with somebody you don't get on well with. I mean,
yeah,
I think having a very set. It's the classic thing of if you've got a vision, and I don't want to sound really widow twanky about it, but if you've got a vision and they don't share that vision,
yeah,
then I think you're it's just a horrible moment. And you have to surround yourself by with people who go, actually, yes, no, that's great, or they go, oh, it's going to be very difficult to do, but they'll come up with a solution. And I
yeah,
think that's you end up making films with your friends in the end, and because the process is just simpler. And we've
yes,
always treated all our freelancers. We never do deals with them. We've always paid them what's in the budget.
yeah,
We've never ripped anybody off because because we've been ripped off ourselves. And we when we first started the company, Chris and I sat there and went, I am never overcharging the client and then going back to our freelancers and go, would you take less
yeah,
because
yeah, yeah.
and so somewhere in the middle, and that's probably why we're not very good businessmen, probably because
Maybe not good businessman, but I bet people prefer working with you than some others.
I think so. Well, I think when budgets are really tight, you can go back to them and go, "Can you do it for this?" And almost 100% of the time they go, "Yeah, of course you do," because they know that
Yeah,
we're not ripping them off. Um, so it's just. I wish there was a kind of easy way to explain it, but there isn't. You know yourself. You either link with people and you go great, and I've worked with friends
yeah,
when I've brought in and stuff. And sometimes it hasn't worked, and
yeah,
that's
yeah,
gone. Jesus, that's really not what I thought was going to happen. Do you know what I mean?
no.
It's like, geez, this is all a freaking disaster. And you sit there and go, why are you such a pain in the ass? At what
Yeah.
point did you become a pain in the ass? You were, you've,
It's a different dynamic though, having friends involved, isn't it? Because there's different lines that can and can't be crossed, and
yeah.
it
It's a,
doesn't always. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't.
well, it was a hard. I mean, when my son first started working for us, and indeed when my daughter's been a runner and stuff on stuff, or she's helped with the art direction and stuff, or props on makeup or whatever it is. I never told anybody, and that they were my children. So
Okay,
on the call sheet, it would have their mother's maiden name on it,
right.
and because I didn't want anybody to treat them any differently. Not that sounds grand, but I actually wanted feedback from the crew that they were working with about what they were like.
Yeah.
And thank God it was always positive. And I kept,
That was gonna be my next
as
question.
opposed to he's a complete
That
git,
lazy bugger.
yeah. And I have the only one that was horrible. This is a horrible story, and I remember somebody completely remained nameless. And my daughter, who is rather glam, she obviously takes after her mother, was running around, and he nudged over to me. He went, "Phew," and I went, "Oh no, 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 no,
Oh.
no, 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 no." He went, "Oh," I went, "No, no, it doesn't matter why. It's just no, no, don't go away. Go and do something else. Go away. No." So so I think you do. I think you've just got to be flexible on the day. You know,
Yeah,
if we've got a a wardrobe person who's a fantastic stylist who then will suddenly come in with something that you go, God, that's and that little moment of a completely different costume that you thought they were going to be wearing suddenly changes everything from the lighting to the way you're going to shoot it to what lens you're going to use
yeah,
to adding bits in. Do you know what I mean?
yeah.
It has to be. You have to keep moving
You're like
all the
working as a
time.
unit, aren't you?
Yeah, and it has.
Yeah.
That's why they're called film unit. You have to work. I'm not a great.
Ah, I
I'm
never
not.
knew that.
I'm never. I'm not. I'm not a great lover of the. I'm sure I get shouted down. I've had arguments about. I'm not a great lover of the auteur theory,
What's that?
where there's literally one person who is in who's the whole film and everything else is his vision.
Right.
So everything you see um, on the walls, from the prop piece handling and everything else is one person's decision. Has gone, oh, I want that.
Oh, so that comes back to what you were saying earlier about not letting people with the expertise drive the things they're good at.
Yeah, and
Hmm.
you sit there and go, I just don't believe in the auteur theory because I just believe that it's such a collaborative process, filmmaking,
Yeah.
um, and we don't always get it right. And if a DOP says to us, do you know what you should do if you use this lens, or we shut that, or actually if I like that, that's going to get, and it looks great, we'll all go for it. There's no room for egos.
Yeah.
There's every room for good manners. And
It's
it's
a
the only
life
time I've
lesson
ever
right there.
it's the only one I've ever the only time I've ever sacked somebody on a set, literally, because they were treating the crew so badly, um, that and it cost us money. But I was so cross about the
Yeah.
way they were treating the crew, and I just went, "Would you mind leaving?" And they
Done.
said, "What do you mean?" I said, "Would you mind leaving? I'm not going to say who it was, not going to say what they did, but I said, would you mind leaving? Just get your stuff and go, because I just won't put up with it." I'd already had three chats quietly going, "Could you start treating just a little bit of please and thank you and
Yeah.
pleasantness, and but if you can't do that, then go home and wallow in a sinkhole of self-absorption." you know, but just fuck off my set, would you mind? And just stop being nasty to people. There's no point. There's no point. You've got to have. You've got. Yeah, yeah. Of course, things get stressy and tense,
Yeah.
but you've got to trust everybody else around you if you've chosen it. Sorry, I'm ramming on about
No,
nothing.
it's a, no, 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 no. I think it's valuable lesson.